post the utter disaster that was the Ravens versus the Dolphins. But to me, in my post-game coverage, I said, I don't think the loss, is utter disaster. Getting destroyed like that, yeah, it sucks. But it's not like going to define the season. The injuries I thought were way worse as far as a negative effect from the loss. And some people are like, what are you, crazy? That's insane. Look at San Fran. They lost 33-19 to the Ravens at home, came back, won this week on the road, and now they're going to get the conference probably number 1 seed. If we lose to the Ravens, yeah, we don't get the number 1 seed, but if we come back and win against the Buffalo Bills this week at home, then we'll have the number 2 seed. Now, I'm not saying we're going to. The loss of Chubb, a loss of Phillips before, and now the loss of maybe X and not sure about Waddle, these are big hits. But look at the Ravens. They played with a gutted defense. They had injuries on their offensive line, and they pulled it out. Look at the Bills. They've got major injuries all season. Von Miller has been benched, and they're winning, and they're playing us. So we should win this game coming up if we were built right. Injuries or not, we're home. We're expected to win. And if we do win, that 2nd seed will justify a lot. I don't know if we will. It's going to be very hard. I got to go through, see what's going on with the Bills and the Dolphins. It's going to be very difficult. Bills have the ability to run and throw, and they got a good defense. But we can do it. Let's see how it plays out. If we lose, then you can start getting to the edge of the building and looking down saying, it's all over, baby. Because this is a high point talent season. And if this team was built right, even with these injuries, we should get to a pretty good spot. And if we don't, it says that we weren't built right. And it doesn't look good for the future because with the Chubb injury and the Phillips injury, they're not going to be ready till midway through next year and maybe even a little longer. Look at Von, how long it's taken for him to get back. So next year is going to be difficult with the cap, with the injuries. I don't know if X has got a clause that locks him in. We're going to have to cut him probably. The injury is going to hold him to post June 1st, which means, we'll get, I think, about 11 to 12 million, but we'll lose about 7 or 8. But then you got to fill that spot. And Cam Smith hasn't done anything to show the situation. So next year is very, very uncertain. It was going to be a little bit uncertain, but now the uncertainty has risen pretty high. This is the season. But all I hear is blaming Fangio, blaming Tua, blaming McDaniel. And each one of them wasn't perfect. Each one of them has a culpability because they are the leaders. Tua is the leader of the offense. McDaniel's the leader of the team. And the highest leader on the offense. And Fangio leads the defense. But what's the setup? Where does it all lie? I think the offensive line, the inability to run inside. But even if you don't agree with me, and you think it's Tua, and you think it's McDaniel, or you think it's Fangio, there's one universal understanding we all should be like this on. Chris Grier built this team. He hired Fangio. He hired McDaniel. He told McDaniel, we got to win now by going all in with all the picks. He drafted Tua and decided to stick with them. He built the offensive line. You name it on this team, and Chris Grier is the guy that built it. So if we succeed this week, given all these injuries and what we all believe is weaknesses here and there, Chris Grier deserves kudos. But as I said at the beginning of the year, it's either he's going to be hailed as brilliant or he's going to get the dunce cap. But it's got to be Chris Grier. And I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know if we're going to be able to hail him and say, brilliant job. Or we're going to go, dude, here's your dunce cap and chase him out like Frankenstein. Now, according to Omar Kelly, he ain't going nowhere. And that's what you got to understand. Omar Kelly, bro, Grier isn't going a damn place. Let's go. And that's the truth. Chris Grier is the guy at the highest level of responsibility. He was hailed in the middle of the season as being a genius for all these right moves. Even going into this week, there was article after article from big-time guy after big-time guy telling us that the offensive line was awesome and everything was built awesome. Now we get blown out. There's injuries. A guy with injury history gets injured again. We paid a lot for him. And all we hear is Tua, McDaniel, and Fangio. And Grier's name ain't going to be brought up. Why? I don't know. That's for you to figure out. I don't know whether it's going to end up well or not, but I'm going to go through stats, facts. You got blame, and a lot of stuff I'm hearing, it's true. You know, Tua's got culpability, Fangio's got culpability, McDaniel, but it's a lot of emotion. I'm going to deal with facts. I'm going to deal with facts over protection, run game, Fangio. Facts. And it's all got to come back, whether you think is exactly right or it's close. I mean, I'm pretty close. I'm going to give you a lot of stuff. It all has to go back. It might go through Tua, through McDaniel, but eventually it's got to stop at Chris Grier. But he ain't going nowhere. That's the fact. He'll be here. McDaniel will get fired. Tua won't be re-signed. If that's the case, Fangio will get go, and Grier will continue. That's what we're being told. Is that right? I don't know. We'll see. So let's get into protection. I said beginning of the year, the offensive line wasn't good enough, but I had to see. I thought there was ways for it to happen. It involved with Connor, Hunt, and Teron being there. Connor was down. Hunt's been out for a while. And Teron's been banged up. And his depth has really had to take over. But we don't hear anything about the protection. Well, I'm going to give you some facts. So let's take a look at this image. I've been saying since the beginning of the year that Tua's ability to throw the football quick, and Hill and Waddle and McDaniel have uplifted this protection. Let's check the difference between the Ravens protection, who were using a lot of backups, okay, and then our group, who had our starting right tackle or starting left tackle and our primary backup at center. So we had, and probably primary backup at guard. The only really one that was not his primary was Jones. So, you know, you look at their offensive line and our offensive line, it was kind of similar. Okay? So right here, our blockers per pass was 5.8, which is a little high. It's kind of what we've been running. Their rushes per pass was 4. That's it. The whole game. They blitzed 3 times out of 38 pass attempts. Now, top under pressure, you can see kept clean. 77% is insane. That's a super high clean percentage. But you could say the protection got him that. The protection was so good, Curtis, it was 77 clean percentage. But if you look at the time to throw, it's 2.01, which is insanely fast. So when we throw fast, there is clean pocket. Under pressure, 22.7% of the time. 22.7%. Look at when we were blitzed. 6.8% compared to 93.2 not blitzed. So 4 guys were going against our 5.8, generating 22.7 pressure. And the blitz came in, when blitzed, 6.8%, 1.83 seconds. A total completion percentage, you see 57.9, which was low for Tua. Yards per attempt, 6.2, low for Tua. Defensive pressures, 10, which is not terrible, but it's terrible when you get 3 sacks in 2.28 seconds and they don't blitz you. They leave 7 in zone coverage all day. Now, to show you comparison, look at the Ravens. They only threw 21 times. Now, their blockers per pass was 6.4, which was higher than ours. But what did they get with that protection? We rushed 4.5 rushes per play. We blitzed 10 times, almost 50%. I didn't realize that when I was watching the game. Fangio started out just regular zones, and then he started bumping it up as he couldn't get the pressure. He blitzed a ton. And that was 21 throws. Now, their kept clean was 80%, which is extraordinarily high, and it was 2.84 seconds. Nearly a full second, just, basically 0.83 seconds more clean time to throw than what Tua had. So if Tua is just holding the ball and he can't go through his first reads, then it would have been much higher that time to throw. 2.84 seconds. Under pressure, 20, the same as us, but he was blitzed 50% of the time, and we were only blitzed 6.8. And we brought half a rush or more per play than they did. When blitzed 40% of the time, and their time when blitzed, time to throw 2.76. And when you go to the film, he wasn't running around like a chicken with his head cut off. He was moving up in pocket, maybe a little bit around. A couple times maybe broke out, but not all that much. Not enough to inflate it a full second more than what we were able to do. So you can see the total here, 5 pressures, 1 sack, 3.14 time to throw overall compared to our 2.28. So, guys, if Tua does not throw fast, the protection breaks down. We brought 5.8 and got that kind of pressure with no blitz rate. We blitzed 50% of the time and got half the pressure that he got with backups just like us. So what does that say about the quality of the blocking at the tight end, at the running back, and the offensive line position? It means ours is terrible. Terrible compared to the Ravens. Now, maybe that's just one game, but you can go back through all my studies week after week, and you'll see that it is not an aberration. But want to go into another part. It's all tied. There's a synergy between the run game and the pass game. The run game and the pass game fuel each other. And when they're working well together, it makes it very tough for a defense. When they fear the inside run, the outside run, they fear attacks at every single level in the pass game, it's hard to key in. But when you're a defense, even if you're wounded, and don't fear certain sectors in both the run and pass game, it makes it a lot easier to stop. Let's look at the run game for the Dolphins. You can see here the purple means we did really well, and then the red circles is where we failed. Left end, 57 yards, 3 carries, that's awesome. But 45 was on 1 play. So still not too bad. You got 2 extra carries for 6, but that one run, when you take it off the table, it kind of doesn't look so great. Pretty good, but not great. Left tackle, 2 for 6, not good. Left guard, 3 for 17, but 1 long was for 11. That neuters that quite a bit. We couldn't run middle left. We couldn't run middle right. Right guard, 2 for 20, but 1 was for 15. So 1 was 5, not terrible. Right tackle, 2 for 5, 2.5, not good. Right end, 4 for 22, 1 for 13. For the other 3 yards per carry. And so we weren't able, and they had a nickel all day, a small nickel that we couldn't. We came out in 12 personnel and a 21 personnel. We would have a running back and a fullback and a tight end, and they would be in a nickel. And we struggled to run inside and to run consistently. We would come out with 2 tight ends and 1 running back, and they would have a nickel, and we struggled to run inside and outside consistently. What about them? Left end, 5 for 53. You could give the 41. That neuters a little bit. Left tackle, 4 for 12. 3 yards per carry. That's not so hot. Left guard, 1 for 6. Middle, left, 2 for 3. Not so good. Middle right, 5 for 25. 5 yards per carry. Right guard, 2 for 10. 5 yards per carry. One you could say is a 7-yard run, so you neuter a little bit. Right tackle, 2 for 18. 9 yards per carry. 12 long, still 1 for 6. Right end, 6 for 9, not so good. QB scrambles, 3 for 26. He added 26 yards to the run total, but that's not like a Lamar day where, no. We got battered inside. You could see we were spot on the inside, some big runs to the exterior. We couldn't run them out of the nickel. You've got to run inside to run them out of a nickel, especially when you bring your big packages of 12 and 21 personnel. That's what physical does. Physical pounds you, and if you go back and look, when they ran it inside and they brought their big packages, Fangio had to come in with his base with 3D linemen. Now, I want to get into another part about Fangio and his coverage. So we could say Fangio's no good. He was good every place else, and people say, well, he never won a Super Bowl. He's never had an offense anywhere he went. Did he have an offense with the Broncos? He had no quarterback. Did he have a quarterback with the Bears? No, he did not. So wherever he went, he did not really have much to work with. But Belichick used his systems and his philosophies. The Rams, teams all around the league use his philosophies. He's hailed as a genius, but he comes here and he's an idiot. Well, let's get into it. We blitzed a lot. When you blitz, that most likely means you're in man, mano-y-mano. When you get mano-y-mano, for the most part, it's player on player, and the coach, unless it's like a rub and it's like in a red zone or something like that, you can't put it on the coach. Elliott, 3rd and long, beat man. Ramsey and Holland misread for 14 early on. I'll go through the film tomorrow. Duke beat for a man TD. Apple beat for a man first down, 14. Apple and Elliott got beat on the TD. Holland beat for the TD. All in man. That's the first half. So some people say, well, if we blitzed more, and I was wrong. I thought we sat more in zone. But he blitzed as much more than Flores. Now, Flores has different blitzes and stuff like that. It's not all the same. But he brought extra pressure and still couldn't get there because they could block. And it's not all about Lamar moving. But we got beat in man. Once Howard went down, we were neutered. Cam doesn't get out of the practice squad. Is Fangio an idiot? I don't know. I think he knows more about than you and me, but we'll see. He's been injured a couple times this season too, but maybe Fangio's wrong on that. Apple is terrible. Once in a while, it comes to the big play. Duke, he's a backup in a man role, but then Long, who's great in the run game, can't play that role because he's slower than Duke. So you got linebacker issues. You have trouble playing man coverage. Kohu, he is not, I've been saying that since last year. Very good in zone, very good in man, short to like mid-clock. But once you start getting to the higher ends of mid-clock and late, I've been saying, you can check my history. He struggles. But he was beat by Beckham. That was an unbelievable throw. How many cornerbacks? I've seen Howard be beaten on. I've seen Ramsey be beaten on that type of stuff. Not this year, but before. That was a beautiful, beautiful throw and an insane catch. Can't pin it on the kid for that one. But that's not his role. He's not. But again, Holland came in. He was dinged. Ramsey was dinged. This secondary was beat up too. But we could not get to the quarterback. They could with their 4. So that goes right back to the offensive line being the key. But you know what? All the people telling you the offensive line is awesome, they'll have to backtrack and say they were wrong. You will not see an article, most likely, I haven't seen any, about the offensive line, because then it would point to Grier, and then you'd have to say Grier laughing at the depth of our offensive line. That does not work. The whole, I am sorry, Eichenberg, I am sorry, Jackson. We haven't seen those for a couple of weeks. I wonder why. Maybe we should get, I'm sorry, Curtis, and I make a little thing up and put up over there. I don't know. All right, so one last part. Take a look at this. You could see here, 8, 9, and better, the worst coverage grades by PFF. You take it for what you want. Ramsey, 50.4, not good. Apple, 47, not good. Long, 44. Holland, 44. Van Ginkel, 43. Riley, 38. Howard, when he was in, 34. He got beat early. There was something going on there. Cater, 29. Those are some of your top guys. So is it scheme when you're in man half the day practically? That is just guys who got beat. And again, it's time. I said it in my live. There's an equation in time. How long can the offensive line block and how long can the secondary cover? If the secondary gets less time, they'll be more successful. If the offensive line blocks more, the secondary will be less successful. And you go back and you look and you can see very clearly we brought tons of extra pressure. Their clean time was 2.84 and their blitz time was 2.76. We couldn't get to them. Why? Some of it was because Phillips wasn't here. Van Ginkel is excellent, but Phillips brings that quick potency. And then on top of it, we had trouble covering. So we were breaking down early and we just weren't able to generate the pressure that we wanted. And so is it Fangio? I don't know. There are a lot of good guys on here. None of the big top guys played well in your secondary and there was no big pass rush day, and we saw the game, it's not about Lamar just running around like a chicken with his head cut off. He remained mostly in that pocket and threw the football. So it comes back down to players and who put those players on the team. Who put the team together? Who brought all this stuff together? Coaches, players, whatever. Chris Grier. Chris Grier deserves all the accolades for a successful 2023 season, and we could still have it. It's not over. It's not over at all. We win this week. It's second in the conference. Home field until the conference game. And then we get a rematch versus this team, probably. So it isn't over. But if it doesn't go the right way, McDaniel, I'm sure he's clearly culpable. But who brought him here? Tua, I'm sure he'll be clearly culpable. What kind of protection has he had? A quarterback needs an offensive line. Remember Marino with Dwight Stevenson? Dwight Stevenson got injured and there was a lull in his production until we got Webb and Sims. Offensive line makes the NFL world go around, even with studs. All world. Greatest quarterback ever, Dan Marino. What kind of offensive line does Tua have? He's not the most mobile. He's sort of mobile. That means the offensive line is more critical. But look at Jackson. We said he was garbage for 2 or 3 years, and now all of a sudden he's good. MVP. Why can't we have Lamar? 2 or 3 years ago, we were like, he's beat up. He can't do it. But who brought the offensive line? Who picked Tua and said, we're going to stick with them? Grier. Who brought Fangio? Who brought Chubb with his injury history and paid $10,000, $10 million, $23 million and 20 picks for him? Grier. So we can hand out culpability down the line, but we've got to start with Chris Grier, both for the accolades and the dunce cap. Will we get that? Will we get that kind of coverage? I don't know. I hope we don't. I hope this week we win and Grier is hailed as a genius and everybody turns around. We'll see. But I just got a bad feeling. Said it in my live. Said it for a couple of weeks now. Things don't go right. Other people are going to get put up there. As Omar said, Chris Grier ain't going in a damn place. Anyway, guys, let's hope we win this week. Let's, understand good teams bounce back from big losses. You can see what happened to the Bills. You can see what they lost to the Eagles. Remember? Done. Came back and won. San Fran lost a team that destroyed us, got destroyed at home, bounced back and won. Good teams do that. The injuries, though, are another story that is very, very difficult. And we'll see. Anyway, big week this week. I have film for you tomorrow, guys. Happy New Year. I really want to give you guys the best. I'm not out to sell anybody anything. Take my information for what you want. But it's a clear fact. Chris Grier is the team designer. You got to start with him. Have a great New Year, guys. Let's hope we can get back to being happy Dolphins fans like we were at the Dallas game. Curtis, catch you next time. Be well. Go Fins. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.